The way to think about content is like, imagine your blog is like or your email channel is like a television network with multiple channels. And you're going to want, most people only have one channel, and that's the Buy My Shit channel. And that's all they ever send is, hey, buy this stuff for me. And that's great. I'm a fan of that channel. I buy from that channel. I'm into that channel. But if that's all you have, you're missing the point, because the point is relationship building.
Welcome to Show Me the Nuggets, where each week Joe chats with world-class entrepreneurs to find out the key principles, strategies, and processes that lie behind their outstanding achievements. Now, your host, the no bullshit serial entrepreneur, Joe Troyer.
Hey everybody, it's Joe Troyer, and welcome to another episode of Show Me the Nuggets. Super excited today to have a very special guest, none other than Ezra Firestone. For those of you guys that don't know Ezra, man, he's been around, I feel like, for a long time in e-com and coaching and SEO, and I feel like sales funnel optimization. And I think that Ezra really shines in building very smart businesses that are systemized and process-oriented and driven, so that he can get the scale that he's, I'm sure, after. When I look at Ezra and what he's doing, I think it's really fascinating between smart marketer and what he's sharing and training on for all of us entrepreneurs, and then what he's actually doing in e-com himself, and then the software side of the business. I know that Boom alone, my team did some research, has done over $86 million in revenue in the last 4 years. So, man, Ezra, without further ado, thanks for coming on the podcast, man.
Hey, man, super happy to be here. Thanks for having me. I apologize for the technical difficulties. Yeah, I've been in e-commerce since 2005, and just kind of fortunate enough to have gotten in it really early, fallen in love with it, and been doing it ever since. So super excited to talk to other e-commerce folks, especially or folks who have businesses, is mostly who we talk to. And in times like these where, you know, there's a lot of challenges and also a lot of opportunities.
So what I want to focus is, we're kind of limited on time today. This is going to be a little bit of a shorter episode, but we're going to make sure we jam it with content. I want to get back to the basics, man. Like, obviously, you know, as of recording this, coronavirus has hit, COVID-19's happened, you know, the economy's changing a bit. I want to talk about really the fundamentals, right? The marketing campaigns that every business should be running, and that are even more important now than ever because of a down economy.
Yeah. I mean, look, the way to think about a business is what you're doing is relating with a group of people who are sharing a collective experience. You know, women over 50 who are experiencing the aging process, and everybody telling them that that is wrong. That's boom. Business owners who want to sell physical products on the internet using paid advertising and sales funnels. That's smart marketer. People who have Shopify stores who want those stores to perform better. That's Zipify. So it's like you have this group of people, they're sharing a collective experience, and your job as a business owner is to engage them in a conversation through content around that experience, get them to subscribe to you and find value from you, and then ultimately offer solutions to the problems they face also related to that experience. That's your products. And so, you know, you might be in a situation like I am with Boom, where my supply chain is limited at the moment. So I can only offer so many solutions to the problems they're facing through products. But what I can do is focus on audience building at this time, because, you know, internet traffic is up 40%, and, you know, all the bricks and mortar stores and all of the people who sell products that are categorically not relevant to the time, like luggage, coolers, you know, things like that, they're not in the ads auction. So the advertisements are much cheaper than they have ever been before. Ad prices are down 50%. So you can use paid amplification at this time and content that is because there's more consumption happening. Articles, videos like the one we're doing right now, images, memes, polls, any kind of content that's related to the group of people that you serve and their life experience that they will find entertaining and enjoyable, that ultimately leads them to either become a fan of you on social, become a follower on YouTube, give you their email address. You can use this as a time to build your audience so that when you are back to selling, your audience is bigger. Cheapest time to build audiences in the history of advertising since 2012.
That's really interesting. And at the end of the day, it's like you said, it's all about building that audience, making the connection, and then serving them. So even if you can't directly monetize today, right, you still need to build the audience, and it's 50% cheaper than it ever was. So yeah, I agree. Now's the time to build that audience. It's not going to get any easier.
Yeah. And it's, another way to think about it is, coronavirus has not dried up demand. You figure America, we got about a $20 trillion economy and it's down 4%. Like that's a recession, right? But there's 19 point something trillion dollars of GDP happening, of commerce happening, and it's just being redistributed, right? It's certain categories are going crazy, house products, tactical gear, bullets, you know what I mean? Like certain categories are doing extremely well and certain categories are suffering. So there's a reallocation of demand, but there is not, if anything, an increase in demand. So one other way to think about it is, what could you create that could serve the demand? If you have a product right now that you're not able to sell, do things like improve your cash position. So don't pay any of your bills. Don't pay your Amex bill. Don't pay your rent. Don't pay your mortgage. Like keep your cash on hand. You can Amex will give you an 8-week furlough on that bill. You can renegotiate. It's a good time to renegotiate deals, renegotiate your rent, renegotiate your mortgage, renegotiate your interest payment. It's a great time to negotiate and use this as an opportunity to improve the cash position. If you have inventory, run a sale, get money in the door. And that's what we did. We ran a 3-day 15% off sale on products that we had high inventory of, which we never discount more than 10%. So it was a big discount and it allowed us to get some cash flow in the door, because who knows what the next couple months are bringing. I mean, I have some level of viewpoint on what they are bringing, but good time to get cash in the door if you possibly can. Good time to build your audience. Good time to look at what offers can you create that might be relevant to the current environment. Like, if you're an internet person, there's a lot of people trying to come online right now who don't know how to do that. You could consult, there's just like, there is opportunity, and everybody's instinct is like fear, panic, anxiety. And if you have baseline fear and anxiety and panic about anything, right? Like, for example, I have 100 employees who count on me to pay their paycheck. I got 60 hippies who raised me, who I'm supporting. I have all these, I grew up on an intentional community, long story. But the point is, any kind of baseline anxiety I have around the success of my production cycles are brought to the surface now with this newfound uncertainty in the economy. And so if you carry any baseline fear, it's going to be brought up. And so the compulsion is to act, to respond out of that intense state. But you got to not let that happen. You got to just breathe, come back to center, and take measured action in the direction of your goal, not action that is inspired by fear, panic, or anxiety, because that will ultimately be bad for your business if you're responding and taking action from that mental state. I mean, I know we're not here to talk about psychology and philosophy, but I was raised by psychologists and philosophers. And so just a quick little side note of like, hey, how you approach your business dictates the results you get.
I think that's super important at any point. I mean, at the end of the day, my email inbox is flooded like I've never seen before, right? And that's because of that impulse that you just talked about. And it doesn't mean that people are making the right decision. Probably they're making the wrong decision, but they're just worried, right? They got to be doing something, and they think something's better than nothing. So I definitely agree with that. And we're trying to communicate and help people, but obviously there's a fine line, like between adding value and not for us.
Yeah. And, people are looking for entertainment. I mean, look at Tiger King. It's like people are looking for the opportunity to non-confront this, an opportunity to remove themselves from the intensity of the moment and consume something or learn something, or like consumption is at an all-time high. So it's a good time to put out content. It's a good time to make offers. It's a good time to offer consulting and education. It's a good time. There is the upper middle class who's got plenty of money, who's not, there's social, like classism is real in terms of there are different classes of people with different financial means. Well, the people in the middle and upper middle class, even if they've lost their jobs, they still have expendable money and they're spending that money. So, if you're serving a market that is middle class or above, like it's a fine time to make offers. If you're serving markets that have less access to capital and resource, then maybe it's not the best time in the world to make offers. Maybe it's just the time to build audience. Like, let's say you're a local business. If you're a local business, you should be running ads in your zip code with coupons for when you reopen. Hey, we're the pizza shop down, over here on 6th and Stanton. And, we, as many of you know us, here's a picture of a couple people eating our food. This is the picture of our building. We can't wait to see you. Give us your email address, and your first slice when you get in is 75% off or whatever. I would be doing lead generation all day long if I was a local business right now.
Can you walk us through a little bit the sale that you guys just did? You said obviously kind of unprecedented sale for Boom, right? You never discount more than 10%. You dropped it to 15. What were kind of some of the main elements?
So the reason, I'll just tell you about why we did that. That was before we knew if fulfillment warehouses were going to be considered essential. And we were worried we would not be able to ship. We didn't know, what was going to be shut down and what wasn't. And so we were like, okay, we have to improve our cash position such that if we're not shipping for 4 months, we've got enough money to pay salaries and things like that. So we quick did a sale. And prior to that, the first 2 weeks of COVID, like March 13th, let's say March 13th to the 25th, so 12 days, we were not talking about coronavirus at all. We wanted to be the place on the internet where you could come and not have to just be normal beauty tips, not just smart marketer. I have no choice but to talk about it. It's a business owner brand and it's affecting all business owners. Boom. I had the choice. I could not talk about it. I could just talk about beauty and aging and cosmetics and have it be a place where you could just live your life as per normal and consume content you enjoy. Then when I got worried that we weren't going to be able to ship product and I looked at our cash position and I thought it would be better to have more cash in the bank. I was like, well, we better take the products that we have the most stock of and discount them higher than we've ever discounted. And then we said, hey, listen, 10% of the profit from these sales will go to Direct Relief's COVID-19 fund, which is out there supplying essential medical gear to healthcare workers in need. And so we kind of it's the only time since coronavirus started at all that we have mentioned COVID in our marketing in any way, shape, or form. You said, if you shop this sale, you're going to be supporting folks who need, some of the money from this is going to go to support folks in need. And what that did was give people a way to feel good about their consuming because they could feel like, hey, some of the money I'm spending is being used for a positive outlet. And that makes me feel better about the purchase. And it worked extremely well. And so we did what we call the 3-3-2 or the triple deuce. Sorry, it's actually the 2-2-3. 2 emails day 1, 2 emails day 2, 3 emails day 3, only to buyers who have bought in the past and only ads to buyers, not on social, not publicly, not to the whole list, just to the people who know us, like us, trust us, love us. Tight sale, not a big hoopla, 3 days only, just kind of like low key sale designed to. And I can send you some copies of those emails if you want them.
Yeah, that's good. I'd love to include those on the show notes, especially now more than ever, people do need to strengthen their cash positions. Definitely a thing that should always be on somebody's mind, obviously, but especially right now, because we don't know how long things are going to last or take. So, yeah, man, that's great. When it comes to moving forward, what other things are on your mind in terms of promotions or campaigns that you're running? How are you adapting your marketing now? Right. So we move past that sale. Where's your head at? Now,
look, we have had to throttle down. Okay. Did I mention the inventory spot we're in where we only have 5 months inventory and all that? Have I talked to you about that?
A little bit, barely.
Okay. Our supply chain is such. Look, I produce my products in New York. Not the greatest place in the world to produce products at the moment because New York has more coronavirus cases than any country outside of we literally have more cases in New York than any other country in the world. My suppliers are shut down, which is really bad for me because without suppliers, I don't have product to sell. And I run an 8-figure business with, a solid $400,000 to $500,000 a month in overhead. That I'm not getting out of paying those bills, so my staff salary and stuff. So I took the advertising that I was doing, spend maybe $25,000 a day on ads, and I throttled that all the way down to like $8,000 a day. And I mostly throttled down awareness and customer acquisition advertising. I'm going to keep serving my loyal customers, but I'm basically just not bringing anyone else in the door. So I've throttled my sales all the way down to about 40% of what they would be normally, which takes the 2.5 months of inventory I had on hand and spreads it to 5 months. And I'm betting that within the next 5 months, either my supplier comes back online or I'm able to get another supplier online because I'm working on that. So I had to basically take my very successful business, take it all the way down to just slightly above break even so I could guarantee its operation because it's better to sell at 30% for 3 months than 100% for 1 month, right? And keep operations going. So that's kind of like what I've been doing. And in terms of promotion, I'm not doing any promotion. I'm not running any sales. I'm not putting out any pre-sale articles. I'm just doing traditional content marketing as per normal. My blog content I put out on the blog, keeping my subscribers, buyers, fans engaged, entertained, letting them shop, but I'm not bringing new people people in the door because I don't really have a choice, at the moment. Let me tell you one thing real quick, which is I have an application for Shopify stores called One Click Upsell, and I process sales for Shopify stores for 4,000 different stores. And before coronavirus, our average daily processing volume was 1.7 million. Now, 2 weeks later, our average daily processing volume is 2.6 million. We're up $900,000 a day. E-commerce has grown about 40% since this all happened. So this is going to grow e-commerce. It's going to put us 5 years ahead of where we were. E-commerce was 12% of all transactions that happened. Of the bag of chips you buy at the grocery store to the thing you order on Amazon, 12% of all orders were happening online in America. This is going to forward our adoption rate of e-commerce by a solid 5 years, which is really wonderful for anyone who sells products online. Because once this is over, there's a whole swath of customers who never shopped online before, who are being forced to, who are going to now continue to adopt that technology, which is really great.
That's beautiful. That's absolutely crazy. I would have never expected 40%. I would have said definitely a big increase, 10 to 20, maybe 20 tops, but 40, that's nuts.
Think about it. Think about the baby boomers and Generation Y, which is essentially everybody in America who's over 50. Those people didn't grow up with technology. Those people don't know about e-commerce. There's a very small percentage of them who shop online. Well, now they're all online, and they have the most expendable income, the most money to spend. So it's a huge group of people who are coming online, and they're not going to leave once they understand the convenience of it.
Speaking of upsells, Ezra, obviously with that, you see lots of funnels, you see lots of what's working, what's not. What's kind of the 80-20 in terms of upsells? If somebody's running an e-com site right now or helping a business run an e-com site and they're not doing any upsells, what would you advise them to do?
So the thing to really understand about e-commerce is there's only 3 metrics that matter. First one is cost per customer acquisition. How much does it cost you to acquire a customer? You should never pay, ever, more than double the amount of profit that you make on an order to acquire somebody in the cold pillar. So there's 3 pillars. The way I view business is in 3 pillars of advertising: awareness, people who don't know about you yet; retargeting, people who've engaged and not bought; and loyalty, people who bought before. In the awareness pillar, where you're bringing new people in the door, you should never pay more than double your profit. If you make $40 profit on an order, never pay more than 80, because you won't make that back on the back end. If you pay 80, you can make that back. If you pay 90, you're not making that back. So never pay more than double for your cost per acquisition. And the goal is self-liquidating customer acquisition. If you show me a business that can acquire customers for the same amount of profit they make on that first order, I will turn that into an 8-figure business, because you have customers coming in the door and you're not paying for them. They're just coming in free. Now you got all these people you can engage, upsell, cross-sell. So cost per customer acquisition, CPA. Next is average order value, which is the question you asked about. In e-commerce, whatever way you want to do it, you want to do it online, you want to do it on Shopify, you want to do it on Amazon, you want to do it in the tactical market, you want to do it in the baby market, whichever way you want to do it. 3 out of 4 customers who buy, you'll never see them again for the rest of your life, ever. So average order value is the second most important metric in all of e-commerce. You have to get your average order value up, which means upselling and cross-selling at every stage of the sales cycle, on the product page, in the shopping cart, post-purchase one-click upsells, offering bundles. You have to do it, because that 3 of those 4 orders, you're never coming back. And then the third metric is lifetime customer value. And that comes down to the 25% of people who do buy once or do buy twice. Can you get them to buy 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times? And that comes down to your ability to do content marketing, product launches, and sales campaigns. So those are really the only 3 things you ever have to focus on in e-commerce: cost per customer acquisition, average order value, lifetime customer value. And then the tools that you use to increase those things, like average order value, or upsells and cross-sells, which just go to zipify.com, Zipify.com. And now I've got a whole business based on how to get the average order value up through upsells and cross-sells. But it's better. It's more important to understand the higher level of it than the actual technical tactical, because we only got 30 minutes here, and I can teach you the technical tactical on my site, but I have to get you to understand the reasoning for it.
I like those metrics. Double is good. Obviously, you want to be as liquidating or as close to it as quickly as possible. And I never really thought about the 3 quarters are gone forever. That really
they're never coming back.
Sink in. They're gone.
And I have a 40% repeat customer rate on Boom, which means 40% of my orders come from people who bought before. But that does not mean that 40% of people buy twice. It means that a quarter of people buy twice, and some of them buy 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, right? So you're losing 75% to 80% of people. They're gone. They're never coming back. They buy one thing from you and that's it. And that's in any business. It's like that. So that makes it like much more important that you figure out how to increase that average order value through offering add-ons, through offering additional products, through bundling products, through offering discounts right after they buy via one-click upsells. You got to get good at that. It's so important.
It seemed like a lot of people were just offering quantity breaks or selling the same thing in the upsell. Is that something that you believe in and you see is still working today?
So I offer one more of what you just bought. Hey, you bought a Boomstick Trio, get one more at 21% off. And that is the best upsell that I have found on the back end. Pre-purchase, I offer to upgrade. Hey, you have one stick, upgrade to a bundle. Or, hey, you bought this thing, get the next most complimentary item. I offer that pre-purchase. I don't do discounts on multiple, although that's great for supplements and things. But I'm offering either upgrade to a bundle, pre-purchase, or add an additional relevant item. Those are my two. Or, I mean, I have, of course, 2 ounce, 4 ounce, 8 ounce, right? I've got sizes. So that's a technically a cross-sell through additional SKUs on the offer page. But my main two winning formulas pre-purchase are get this in a bundle for cheaper and which is essentially get the next most good things with it, or just, hey, you bought this is super complimentary to it, get this too at a 10% discount. And then post-purchase, it's like, hey, whatever you just bought, get more of that one time only at a bigger discount than I gave you previously.
What's working for you now in Boom in terms of content and staying in front of your audience, staying top of mind? What's working to keep them engaged and get them to actually reorder and keep doing business with you, Ezra?
The way to think about content is like, imagine your blog is like or your email channel is like a television network with multiple channels. And you're going to most people only have one channel, and that's the buy my shit channel. And that's all they ever send is, hey, buy this stuff for me. And that's great. I'm a fan of that channel. I buy from that channel. I'm into that channel. But if that's all you have, you're missing the point, because the point is relationship building. At Boom, I've got my sustainability channel talking about sustainability and what we're doing in that regard. I've got my brand ambassador channel, which are customers talking about how they use the products and why they love them. I've got my articles channel where I'm talking about, under eye circles and menopause, and it's articles about the experience of being a woman over 50. I've got my social contests. I've got my sales. I've got my product launches. So you need at least one piece of content from each channel every month. And ideally, you've got 3 or 4 channels. At Smart Marketer, there's Ezra on Life. There's Molly Pittman on Facebook ads. There's Laura on email marketing. There's, our conversion rate optimization channel. There's our Facebook Live channel. There's our webinars. So all these different channels of content that you can subscribe to. And so that it's like less about, every market's different in relation to what content is good, but the idea is multiple threads to appeal to the larger group, and people can really pick and choose what they, want to consume.
So Ezra, you've been on quite the roll the last couple of years, right? Building Boom, building out Smart Marketer, building out the software. I'm curious, what do you consider your superpower? It seems like you got a lot going on.
I think what I'm really great at is delegation and buying help. So, if scale can only come from outside yourself. So you have to get good at getting people to help you. And I'm really good at communication, goal setting, giving people a roadmap and a vision and autonomy and freedom and the ability to hone in their skill set. So I think team building is really what I'm best at. And I have, over 100 team members now, and I started with just me. And so I teach a whole course, and I can send you a link to the free mini course on it, on how I think about team building and buying help, because most CEOs are driving the car and they're on the road taking the turns. And at some point, if you want to scale, you got to navigate. You got to get off the road so you can see what's coming up, what's in the distance, what mountain turns, where to go. And then you can give that information to the driver. And so, I drove every department until I could outsource it and delegate it to someone on my team: social media, copywriting, advertising, project management, inventory and analysis, data, all those different things that happen in a company. Eventually, you want to get yourself out of the day-to-day of those. It's incredible how much value you can get out of one person working 8 hours a day. A small team of 4 to 5 people can build an 8-figure brand. You don't need a giant 100-person team. I have bit like software. 60% of my team is on the software side, because software is like, at Boom, I sell a tub with goo in it. At Zipify, I sell a code base. So Boom's product side doesn't need a lot of employees. Zipify's needs front-end engineers, back-end engineers, QAs, analysts, developers. So you don't need a big team, but you do need to get good at buying help for your brand. And I think that really is the thing that's my superpower.
Yeah, man. I would highly agree. It seems like you have to be good at that in order to have everything going on that you currently do. I was watching one of your videos I stumbled upon. I was talking about the different business models, right, between SaaS and your training and e-commerce and which one's the best. We'll make sure and put that in the show notes. We don't have time for it today, but nice little cool topic. I think that a lot of marketers that jump from kind of project to project and their skill is marketing would find a ton of value in. It seems like, Ezra, work-life balance is a big deal to you too. Obviously, I'm sure coronavirus has thrown a wrench in things a little bit, but walk us through a typical day for Ezra Firestone.
So, I don't know that my typical day is a fair comparison because I've gone through different phases of business from, do-it-yourself entrepreneur who's grinding 12 hours a day, who's 21 years old, who doesn't have any other responsibilities in life and can put in 12 to 14, no problem, happily, and also work a full-time job on the side. Like I've kind of traveled the gamut of different styles of relating to business. And what I've seen is that at one point or another, most entrepreneurs experience burnout and they overwork themselves and they make their work life their whole life, and they don't make time for their body and they don't make time for their relationships and they don't make time for their hobbies, and they end up burning out. And that seems to be I went through that myself. I kind of got lucky because I was in my late 20s and it wasn't so much burnout as it was, hey, I need to get a life outside of my business. Having been an entrepreneur from a very young age, I've learned that really entrepreneurship is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And that if you can show up every day with a positive attitude 4 or 5 days a week and put 4 to 8 hours into your business, that's plenty. Because the game is a 10-year game, not a 1-year game. And so I would say if you're working more than 8 hours a day consistent, like sometimes during a launch, you got to do that. But if the backdrop of your life is this work grind, you're ultimately going to fail because you're going to burn yourself out. You're going to ruin your relationships. Your body's going to fall apart. Like you have to figure out how to take care of yourself. So now, and I'm in a completely different stage of business. I have 3 brands. I'm the CEO of 2 of them. I'm 15 and a half years into my entrepreneurship journey. So it's not a fair comparison, but I will give you like an average day. So I'll wake up between 7 and 8 a.m., 7:15, 7:30, have a pot of green tea, maybe an espresso, sit on the computer for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, kind of answer some Slacks and just kind of do nothing work, just enjoying it, whatever, checking in with the team, see if anything happened, do whatever I want. I'll generally work out pretty hard from 8:30 to 9:30 or 8 to 9, depending on the day, or 8 to 9:30, depending on if it's with a personal trainer, if it's on my own. I got a gym in my house. 9-ish to 10:30-ish, I'll make breakfast, hang out with my wife, talk about our day, see what she's up to. Generally start my work day between 10 and 11. I'll work until 2. 3 solid hours, take a break for lunch, go outside, hang out with my cat, move around, come back in, put in another session from maybe 3 to 5:30 or 6, and then be done. So I'm only putting in 6-hour days at this point, sometimes only 4 days a week. I'm also I'm in a stage of business where I can do that. And there's certain days where I'll work much longer. I'll have more, I'll do 8 to 10 hours in a day if it's something's going on. But in general, the amount that I work has decreased, and I'm no longer actually doing anything. All I'm doing is talking to people about what we're doing, giving them feedback, providing strategy, reviewing things. I'm not actually running ads or writing copy or building products, or I only talk to my team really. So that's kind of like where I'm at with business at this point. And it's great. I love it, but it's not really, I don't know that it's necessarily applicable to someone who might be in an earlier stage of their entrepreneurship journey,
Definitely. There is the hustle and grind. I think for any business just starting out, to get it off the ground, to get it working, to figure it out, there's definitely a learning curve that you got to go through. But I find, and I'm sure you find, that way too many people stay there forever for a reason of uncertainty and not knowing what's coming next, right? And just staying in that mode and that mentality instead of moving on. So cool to see that you have some work-life balance in there as well. And it's not just all about Ezra Firestone, the internet marketer. That's always nice to see.
Yeah. I mean, the guru business, which is a word that I take issue with, but seems to be one that people like, is a side business. It's I like doing the blog. It's fun. I enjoy it, but it's not my main business, nor is it the most profitable business. And it's actually been on a steady decline since 2016 because I haven't really been focusing on it. Now I have Molly Pittman as the CEO of Smart Marketer, and I think it's going to do much better with someone putting daily attention on it. But like, I haven't had the energy, space, time to create courses, which is what makes this business go. So it's kind of been like dropping every year since like 2016. But I think it'll kind of rebound now.
Awesome, man. So just to respect your time, that you got to jump. We'll wrap it up with one last question. So usually at the end of the podcast, they say like, hey, Ezra, will you recommend 3 books? We do something a little bit different. I want to ask you, what's the one book that made the biggest impact on the way that you do business?
Well, I think Stone Soup, the children's book, is a really good book because it's this guy. He comes to the town and he's got a pot of soup with some stones in it. And he says, hey, I'm making soup. Do you want to join in? And then he gets someone to bring potatoes. And then now there's 2 people there. And then someone else walks by and says, hey, we're making soup. You want to join in? And they bring carrots. And so he basically had a pot of water and some stones, but through enthusiasm and being the catalyst for creating a party, got a whole bunch of people to put energy in and ended up with this really wonderful, amazing soup. And he started with nothing other than inviting people to enjoy a good time. And my philosophy in business is have fun first and foremost. You could die tomorrow. Really. I lost a business partner suddenly out of nowhere. It happens. Make truly good products that serve the world, that are valuable, that you're proud of, and be profitable. And if you can do that at any level, you've won the game. The game is not build the biggest business. In fact, building the biggest business generally is kind of miserable. Like, I know plenty of 8-figure and 9-figure brands that wish they could go back to when they were $1 million a year with $300,000 in profit at 3 employees, no overhead, no intensity, no stress. It's like the goal is have fun, make good stuff, be profitable. And if you can do that at 6 figures, mid 6 figures, $1 million a year, you have won this game. So that's what I would say.
Love it, man. That's absolutely brilliant. We'll link up to Stone Soup. Never heard that one. That's a first. And we'll make sure to link up to Smart Marketer, Boom, Zipify. Anything else, Ezra, specifically?
Yeah, follow me on Instagram. That's where I think most of the action is happening these days. Instagram is the hot spot. So yeah, follow me on Instagram, and thanks for taking the time, and appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Have a fantastic day. We'll see you soon in another episode of Show Me the Nuggets.